This week, we did cars. This was a pretty fun week, and we learned that there are a lot of different kinds of physics in the world, and some of them are a little bit unforgiving.
I don't think we're going to see a lot of gravity above 1. In fact, I don't think we're going to see any gravity of 1. I think that this is much, much heavier gravity than we would ever normally see. And that's a shame, because the high gravity spots are definitely the best. Bonk. Ooh. So, more than the way that gravity will work, planets are going to be problematic, because in multiplayer, rovers really suck. Of course. Whoa! This is the Stickler, and it can climb up stuff like this all day and all night with ease. However, in multiplayer, whether or not it can climb this depends mostly on how good your physics are. So if you're starting to drop some physics frames, or if you're starting to get some calls from people, other players, who disagree with your... that was... I can't really recommend doing it that way. As I was trying to say, if your physics start to freak out or get slow, those crawlers stop working, and there's really nothing I can do about it. It seems to work pretty well as long as your ping is low and your physics are running fast. We spent most of the evening on Wasted Spaces world. It's a really beautiful world, but it does require some large mods, and it has a fair amount of slowdown in multiplayer due to the huge number of asteroids involved. This meant that some of the physics didn't work out quite as nimbly as we might have hoped. A lot of people brought a lot of different cars. Some were built by themselves and some were from the workshop. I don't agree with all of the design philosophies behind all of the cars, but hey, they look really great, don't they? Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the various vehicles that got brought across. Well, that's a heck of a dropship now, isn't it? This APC is from Marcelo. Shall we drive it around? See what's going on? Whee! Let's go driving! Yeah! As you may have guessed, the friend I normally record audio with is in India, so therefore I have started making my own sound effects without realizing it. Sorry. Pretty bouncy, but definitely handles much better once you turn all those additional mass blocks off. Zoom. Oh, I've been trying a vehicle like that too. I want to go take a closer look at that vehicle. Yeah, this one. I thought about this vehicle design myself. It's an interesting idea, but it doesn't work unless you make the wheelbase 2 or 3 times larger. Well, we can talk about that some other time. So, on voxels, this vehicle is very slippy, but that's not exactly Marcelo's fault. Uh-oh. No! Ah! Well, I don't know exactly what I did just there, but I think that I blew someone's car up by walking past it. Looks like I took a little bit of damage in the process. If this car's a knockin', don't come a rockin'. Come on, get out. I told you to get out like 15 seconds ago, man. Sleek little desert camo car they've got here. Wow, this looks really good. It's got landing engines. That's pretty slick. Battery operated landing gear, landing thrusters. Oh, I love those landing thrusters. Those look great, and they seem to work great too. Armor. I guess that's a roll cage. It looks fun. I don't know what those are. Are those ground down spotlights? Ground down wheels. Oh, I see that it's got a gyroscope in it. Bonk. These small wheels seem to have a lot better get up and go than I give them credit for. Their top speed is low, but they seem to have no problems going up hills and stuff. Bonk. Now, these wheels have a real great... Well, that was quite the teleport job. So this is something I thought about doing myself. The second wheels protect it from gunfire pretty well, and they give it a little bit better traction, but you can't customize a free wheel's properties, and in addition, it really slows down the spin rate of the wheels, so it lowers your maximum speed by around 30 to 40%. Rocket sleds are really quite fast, and especially in low-gravity environments, they are pretty much the best thing around. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and design another rocket sled, but one that is properly like a rocket sled, rather than being just a car with a little bit of rocket power behind it. What color shall we paint it? How about dark blue? With a red racing stripe. Wah!
Energy is so cheap in Space Engineers. This kind of rocket car makes a lot more sense than a normal car does. If I were to rebalance the game so that energy was expensive, suddenly a lot of the low-cost vehicles suddenly become very important, but I don't think that's going to happen. As I've mentioned, rebalancing the game is not the top priority of the developers.
See, for voxels like this terrain down here, basically any settings will do for a rocket sled. But the question is, how can I make a rocket sled work on roads? There's a combination of settings that you need. You need to have enough slip that you can accelerate without the wheels slowing you down, but you need to have enough grip that you can stop when you need to. I have a feeling that most of the quote-unquote cars that we see in the actual game are going to be just like this rocket sled. The rocket sled works pretty well to get around rough terrain. We might have a similar situation. I think it'll depend on how much gravity there is. The rocket sled here does not have quite enough force to... What the hell? The rocket sled can't lift off with its engines, so you might have more engines than that facing downwards. But the basic idea is good. And in this case, I have a car that flies, so rather than lifting off, it'll just point its nose into the air. But as you can see, these things are unstable in multiplayer. There's no way that that rather soft landing should have created a bomb-sized hole in the terrain. Because they run at 10 times their normal thrust if they are like that. Seriously? Look at this. I didn't even hit it going hard. I found the best weapon you can deploy. Lag. So he's building a Podracer. I guess these engine pods will have the primary thrust. Oh, they're on rotors. That's going to be interesting. So the idea with this particular kind of craft is that the pods actually only rotate about 15 degrees, but the idea is that they will allow you to point downwards and fire at an enemy while maintaining your altitude. So, because they only change degrees by 15 degrees, it's much easier to calibrate them. I think it's a really good idea. Battlebots? Battlebots. Battlebots in multiplayer. I've played a lot of Battlebots related games and even made some, so it's not really a huge draw for me anymore, but I can definitely see why people would want to play Battlebots-like stuff here in Space Engineers. The physics is not terribly well suited for it, but I think you can make anything work if you try hard enough. Cartwheel attack! Wah! Nobody else had any BattleBots ready, so we just stapled wheels to whatever we had. Or whatever we could think of. Fleetbreakers has several up-and-coming events. There's an aerospace fighter event, there's a drag racer event, and there's probably a Battlebots event by the time this goes up. Stop by if any of those sound interesting, and you can try out your own designs, or play with some of ours, or adapt something. Well, either way, it's a lot of fun, and so far, it's the part of space engineers I like best.